Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the 2020 podcast, Canada's #1 optometry podcast. I am your host, Dr. Harbir. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to join me here, guys, to learn and to grow. I'm always so grateful for the support. And as always, I have a quick request off the top. If you get any value from the podcast, whether it's this episode or any other episode you listen to, please do share it. Please let our friends and colleagues know that we're having these conversations and we're working to help our profession to be better. So put a screenshot on Instagram, put a link on LinkedIn, send a text to a friend, whatever you do, or even just verbally let your friends know. That would be super helpful, and I'm really grateful for it. I apologize. You're going to hear my little one in the background. Currently, she's trying to play the little piano. So we're going to go with it. Today's episode is a short episode. It's the Eye2Eye episode. If you have been listening to the podcast for a long time, you know the Eye2Eye episodes are these short 5 to 10, maybe 15-minute episodes. Just me by myself sharing an idea or a thought that either that I'm learning through my own life and experience, or that maybe has been shared by another guest, or I heard somewhere else and I just wanted to expand on it and share with you guys. So today's Eye2Eye episode is about passion versus pursuit. And I think this is a really important topic for us as we go through our career. I found myself coming back to this idea multiple times now. I've been practicing for almost 15 years, and we've, started our first clinic 12 and a half years ago. And the idea of passion is always important, I think, in our lives and our professional pursuits. But the idea of what we're looking forward to and what our pursuits are maybe ends up being more important. So I'm kind of teasing the topic already, but let me talk about passion for a second. We hear so much in on social media or with people that we're talking to, maybe our mentors, and to follow our passion and be passionate about what we do. And that is important. In the short term, especially, I think passion is very, very important. But what happens when we are in the grind, when it's the long days, when we're in the middle of the hustle and it's, you're doing the boring things and you're having to wake up early every day and eat packed lunches every day? What happens then? Passion often can kind of fizzle out. Passion has a limited capacity to keep you motivated, especially in those kind of more difficult and dreary times. So what do we rely on in those situations? What do we rely on in the more mundane, in the boring, in the middle of the week, in the middle of the month, in the middle of the year? Well, I want to ask you a question about what actually makes us feel happy and satisfied right now in the moment. What do you think helps you feel satisfied and happy and content right now today? Is it your past? Is it the things that you've done in your life? Is it right now? Right now, what you're doing right now in this moment, is that what keeps you happy, makes you happy, and helps you feel fulfilled? Or is it what's going to happen in the future and what you have to look forward to? Now, there's probably arguments that you can make for all three of these cases, for all three of these arguments, right? Well, how much I've done in my past, I can look back to and say how great my life has been, and it helps me feel good today. Of course, there's a big argument, strong argument to be made about being happy in the moment, in the here and now. Of course, if we're happy with who we are right now and happy with what we're doing right now, then we're more likely to feel fulfilled. But we're often doing things that don't necessarily make us feel happy in the moment, right? We might be just doing this boring job that we don't like to do, or boring part of our job that we don't like to do, but it has to be done. And that might be what we have to do all day or all week. Or we may have a difficult thing to do today. We may have to have a difficult conversation today that doesn't necessarily help us feel happy right now. So I'd like to argue that our future and what we have to look forward to is actually what helps us feel happy and content and fulfilled and satisfied right now in the moment. And now I get it. There's arguments to like, don't look too far in the future and so on. But let me give you a little example as my little one's running around in the background. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see her. This little simple example of, you're at work. Let's say it's Friday and you're going on vacation over the weekend. You're going away. It's Friday afternoon. You're doing something you really don't like, some mundane job. You just finished eating your packed lunch and now you got a few hours left in work and you got to grind through it. But your mind is thinking about, all right, as soon as I'm done, I'm heading off to vacation. I'm going to be on a beach somewhere. Okay, so that is helping us feel motivated in the moment, right? To get through this day, let's just get through it so we can go to the vacation or do whatever it is on the weekend that we're excited to do. Now, let's say it's Sunday afternoon and you're sitting on the beach and you know you got to go to work tomorrow. You're sitting on the beach in the sun in a beautiful environment, but your mind is kind of going forward to, oh, I got to pack, I got to get home, I got to go to work tomorrow. And it maybe takes away a little bit from our current satisfaction and our current enjoyment. Of course, being in the moment is very important there. It's very important to stay present and enjoy where you are at the moment, but we tend to look forward to what we have to do the next day or the next week or the next month. So I know that's kind of a simple example, but if we live our life in a way where we're always looking forward to something, we always have something greater that we're working towards, that is going to help us continue to be more satisfied and fulfilled in the moment. Because we always know, no matter how boring this moment is, no matter how bland my lunch might have been, I'm not, not enjoying my food as much as maybe I'd love to because I'm eating for a certain health benefit or certain physique that I'm working towards, or kind of got to grind it out in the gym again today, even though I'm tired, because I know I'm working towards something better. I like to call that pursuit. And I think pursuit is more important than passion in the long term. Passion maybe helps you get going, but pursuit is what keeps you going through the dark days and the boring days and the cold mornings and the packed lunches and all of that. So how do we develop pursuit? We always have to have something that we're working towards. It doesn't have to always be something bigger and better, because that can become a bit of an addiction, right? And that can be hard for us, that we're always needing something bigger and better, but always something exciting to work towards. So that could be in our clinic, where in our practice, we're trying to aim for a certain goal. Or maybe outside of clinic, developing relationships, networking in the industry, attending conferences, maybe getting into speaking or consulting or whatever it might be, looking for all these different ways to continue to grow and continue to do more. And we're very fortunate in eye care, in optometry, that we have so many avenues that we can pursue, right? Maybe it's developing a certain specialty within our practice, or developing a new skill set. I just last year, after 14 years of practicing optometry, for the first time, I started fitting specialty contact lenses, ortho-K, scleral lenses. I'd never fit one in my life, not even in school. Before that, I did RGP, a little bit in school, in clinic, or whatever it might be, but not a scleral and not an ortho-K lens. And so I thought this would be a great way for us to grow our practice. It's an exciting way for me to continue developing my skill set. And so I started to pursue that. And so I wanted to hit a certain number of ortho-K fits in a 6-month period, and then a 3-month period, and then a 1 month. And then this week I want to do at least one or so, however it might be. And that gives you something else to work towards, right? A different type of a pursuit. And that is something that I think helps us to continue to grow. And, this is not a new concept by any means. I've actually shared it on the podcast in the past, but it's something I keep coming back to. And it's something that I heard again in a podcast recently. And I was listening to Robert Greene. Robert Greene is this very well-known author and speaker, world-renowned. And he was saying on this podcast that hope helps to bring happiness and helps to reduce depression. What is hope? Hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen, which ultimately I think falls into the same category of pursuit. We have a goal. We're hoping to grow to a certain level. We have this desire to continue to be better in the future. And that can help us be happier in the moment, help us reduce depression or feeling down in the moment when we may not feel as satisfied with the work that we're doing in the moment. And I think when you have passion and you start to get to go, and maybe you don't see as much result as you want to see, or the growth takes longer than you expected it to take, which it often does, we might get into a bit of a funk and a bit of a rut, and even potentially start to feel down on ourselves a little bit. But having hope, having that pursuit, having something to continue to look forward to, is when it's going to keep us motivated and even hopefully keep us happier in the moment. The other idea about pursuit that I think is always around us that we maybe don't recognize is, think about successful entrepreneurs, even billionaires. We always hear the stories of billionaires, of course, in the news and so on. How often have we heard the story of a successful entrepreneur, maybe billionaire entrepreneur, who sold their company, made tons of money, and then went on to start another company and did well in that company? Or maybe they even failed in that company. Then they went on to start another company. And I'm thinking like Richard Branson, for example, Elon Musk. There's so many others out there. They don't just stop because they did one thing and they were successful at it. They're so motivated by the pursuit and the constant growth and the continued growth in their professional careers. They want to keep going. Now, I get it. You might say people like Elon Musk, for example, it's not exactly a healthy motivation, maybe even obsession, but they're always working on growing and continuing to do more. Maybe they've sold their company, made tons of money, but then they start another endeavor that's going to help other people to be better, right? I'm thinking of somebody like a Tom Bilyeu, if you've heard of him before. Started Quest Nutrition, sold that company for a lot of money, and now he does Impact Theory and his podcast and other things to put content out there to help others to grow their businesses. this is such a common theme in the West, especially in our society, in our culture here in North America. We see serial entrepreneurs, people who do one thing well, then they go and they try to do another thing. They want to continue to grow. They don't just stop because they made a ton of money. And because passion and getting a bunch of money, if that was the answer, then those people would have stopped right there. But they continue to go, they continue to grow, they keep doing more things. And I think that's something that can kind of indicate to us that pursuit is really what drives those people, not just the passion in the moment or the money that they made at the end of the day. So this is the idea I wanted to share with you, is passion versus pursuit. I hope that resonates with you a little bit. We need the passion in the moment to get us started. We need that little fire in our belly. I have an idea. I want to get this thing off the ground. But sometimes we're passionate about something, but we don't get started because we don't see the long-term goal, the vision that we want to have, that thing that we want to continue to pursue. On this note of pursuit, passion versus pursuit, Matthew McConaughey had this famous speech he gave when he won an Oscar. And he said, there's three things that I need in life. And, I think one was faith and one was his family. And the other thing was something to look forward to. Something to look forward to. That was one of his top three things that he needs every day in his life. And that the thing he has to look forward to is himself 10 years from now. So he pictures himself 10 years from now. Who is that guy going to be? What is he going to be doing? What does his life look like? And that's what he uses as his motivation every single day, is that something to pursue, that thing he's pursuing is himself in the future. I think that's the perfect thing we need to keep ourselves motivated, is who do we want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Where do we want our business to be? Where do we want our family to be? Our relationships to be? Always got to have something to pursue in all these different directions. So I hope you find that helpful. Be passionate, get out there, be motivated, but then also have a long-term view. Have something that you can continue to pursue day in, day out, when the grind gets hard, when the days are long, when it's cold outside, when your lunch is boring. Have that thing that you're pursuing because you understand the why you need to pack your lunch that day, why you need to get up early that day or stay up late that day, and continue to pursue that, continue to grow, continue to thrive. I look forward to seeing all of you continuing to succeed. Thank you for tuning in to this Eye2Eye episode of the podcast. Thank you for always supporting the podcast. Thank you again for listening and watching to the 2020 podcast, Canada's #1 optometry podcast. I'll see you guys in the next episode.